here we are at lesson number 7. I see only the past. Now, at this point, I'm sure you think, sure enough, these are really weird lessons and I don't understand them at all. So I want to be helpful to you by saying, well, of course, I didn't either. And I would have given anything if anybody had just showed up in my life and said, here's how all of this really works. It says in the beginning that you don't need to understand it, and I read that too, but I didn't believe it. I couldn't think, why am I reading a book that I'm not supposed to understand? I didn't realize what its purpose was. I didn't realize this was a spiritual technology for rewiring my brain. I didn't know my brain needed to be rewired. So we start out kind of down in a hole, and it's trying to bring us up out of it. So don't blame yourself if you think, I don't know what in the world this means to say, I see only the past. No one does. In the beginning. If you already knew what this meant, you wouldn't need to do this. So be very kind to yourself, and for heaven's sakes, don't make yourself wrong because you don't understand it. It's like lesson 1 of learning Russian. For those of us who are English speaking, you don't learn the very complicated Russian language in 1 or 2 days. It takes practice, practice, practice. And so it is with us. Now it says, this is really hard to believe at first, and we go, yes, indeed, it certainly is. And then it goes on to say, you're only seeing your past ideas and thoughts and memories. And then it says, that's why nothing you see means anything. That's why you've given the meaning to it. It's your past associations you're seeing here. And it says it's also the reason why you don't understand anything. Your thoughts don't mean anything. You're never upset for the reason you think. And you're upset because you see something that's not there. Well, the what's not there that we're seeing are our past associations. And then it gives us this really brilliant example where it says, look at a cup. And it says, do you actually see this cup as it is now? Or are you remembering about it? For instance, if you were doing other than remembering, if you were seeing this for the very first time, would you know what it's for? Like if you had never, ever seen a cup before, like it was just some weird artifact in a museum. And if it's the first time you've seen it and you don't know what it's made out of, you don't know if it will break when it's dropped or not. You don't know what it's going to feel like when you start to put your lips to the rim and drink out of it. So it tries to make it clear to us when we go, oh yeah, I see that cup. It says, actually, you don't see it as it is now. You see all of the collection of your past associations about it. So it says now, what you need to do is our same very lightweight practice times. 3 or 4 times a day, 1 or 2 minutes each. And it asks you to glance around wherever you are, whether you're at home, outside, at work, in the car. Just glance around you and say to yourself, because it's the saying of these sentences with as much attention as you can, that's doing the work here. So it says, look around and say, I see only the past in that dandelion, or that weed. Or I see only the past in this TV set. I see only the past in this shopping center. Or I see only the past in this foot. And so on and so forth. And it says, just kind of glance lightly around you as if you're getting the kind of the overview of the place you're in, because the whole idea is everything you see is the past, your past associations with it. And then it goes on to say, don't make the mistake of thinking that some things are more important than others. For the purpose of this, since everything you see is really covered by your past memories and thoughts and associations, that goes for a body as well as a pencil. something that you would consider important or unimportant, are all the same for this. So it says don't linger on one any more than another, because this is to pay attention. See, attention is everything in rewiring your brain. So you're trying to introduce these ideas that you can really grab hold of. Okay, all of the forms that make up my world that I'm looking at right now are all an amalgamation of my past associations. And therefore, they don't mean anything, because if I'm looking only at the past, I don't see what's here right now. And boy, do I know how hard that is to get, but just do what it says. And sometimes you get a little bit stubborn and say, you know what, this is so dumb, I'm not going to do it. Well, imagine this situation. This just occurred to me a little while ago. If you were a coal miner in a mine that had collapsed in some way, and you were really in pretty bad circumstances down there, if from up above, where people up above out of the coal mine can look down and say, oh, we can see what the situation is, and we can see what needs to be done to get you out of here. And then, now of course I know nothing about coal mines, so I'm making this up, but let's say they call down there and they say, if you move over to the left 50 feet, we'll be able to do what we need to do. Well, it would be really stupid if we said, no, I'm not going to move over 50 feet. Why should I move over 50 feet? That doesn't make any sense to me, and so I'm not going to do it. And you think, that's not smart. If somebody who can see the bigger picture than you can and says you can be safe if you move over 50 feet, and you say, nope, I'm not going to do that because I don't understand why, then a really bad idea, and you'll just have to deal with the consequences. So see this as something that's much larger than our intellects, is able to take us by the hand and say, I know how to clear out stuff in your mind that's in the way. So let me lead you. The fact that you don't know where I'm leading you is beside the point, because and at this point we're talking about the grand presence of love, which is the truth of us, is saying, I know where I'm leading you, just trust that I know what I'm doing. So I would advise you, trust that this material knows where it's taking you, and you're very safe, and you're going to be very glad